Hello, English 101 students. This is Professor Delaney, and we're going to do a little work on visual analysis today. Visual analysis will really help you out as you're writing your second essay on business and the environment. What we're going to do today is give you some vocabulary so that when you're looking at images for your essay, you know how to talk about them. We're going to look at two main areas for visual analysis, and that's layout and the use of color. So the first couple terms we need to know in terms of layout are foreground and background. You've probably heard those before. Foreground is the stuff in front, and it tends to be the most important part of the image. So in this picture, Justin Timberlake is in front, the bottle of cologne is in front. We understand that that's the most important part. And then the background is the recording studio. So when you're analyzing an image, you want to focus your attention most on the foreground. You don't want to ignore the background because there could be important information there, but most of the important stuff is going to be in front. The other thing we're looking at is the techniques photographers use to draw your eye to a certain part of a picture. And initially we might think that the most important thing in a picture is going to be in the middle. But if we look dead center at this picture, it's just an elbow. This isn't the most important part. In fact, there's very little going on in the middle of this picture. Instead, photographers use something called the rule of thirds to divide up the image into three pieces and direct our attention to particular areas. So if we divide this one up, one line goes directly through Tom Brady's face, so we pay attention to him, and one line goes directly along the blue box that talks about the water. Basically the two things that the advertisers really want us to see the most. Rule of thirds can work the other way. So you'll see that these lines are horizontal. Sometimes photographers will do the lines vertically. But just keep in mind that most of the time, the thing that they're going to want you to see is on one of those lines, on the thirds of the picture, rather than right in the middle. Another element of layout is how much space different parts of the picture take up, right? What's the biggest thing? And usually those things are the most important, although in this case, it's a little different, right? The largest element in this picture is the woman's face, and then the man's face is kind of a close second, but they're not the most important things in this picture. Instead, they're being used to draw our attention, right? Both of these people are looking at the same thing. She's looking at the phone, and he's looking at the phone. So even though they're much bigger than the phone in this image, we're using the direction of their eyes to see what the photographer wants us to see, right? They're giving us hints instead. The other thing you want to pay attention to is camera angle, especially when you're looking at pictures of people, because the angle will give you some indication of a power relationship. So in this case, the camera is above David Beckham, indicating a stronger power relationship for us, right? We, the audience, the viewers, are in control of this image. And there's not much he can do if he doesn't want us to look at him, right? We're the powerful ones here. It's a little different in the next image, right? In this case, we're below, right? The camera is pointing up at Kate Moss. So she has a lot more power in this image than we do. She also has an escape route. She can turn around and go away if she likes. And just at the angle we're at, right, implying that we're so much below her in this picture, she could easily injure us also, right? She could kick us in the face from this angle. So she's a lot more powerful than we are in this picture. The other option is for things to be a little bit more equal. Right? In this case, Mark Wahlberg is on equal level with us. The camera's neither above or below him. And that gives a much more friendly, welcoming kind of vibe than the other two images. Okay. The next thing we're going to look at is color. And really think carefully about the photographer's color choices. So first, what colors are being used, especially in an image that's so saturated with one color, right? There's a whole lot of red going on here. It takes up more than half of the right side of the image and is pretty significant on this side. And then in addition, you want to think about what those colors mean. All right, why would they pick red and not green or blue here? So in our culture, red can mean a lot of different things, right? It can be anger, it can be passion, it can be love. It's also AIDS awareness. And that's what it's being used for here, to be part of an AIDS awareness campaign. And so part of what the advertisers are doing are relying on our knowledge of what red can mean when they use so much red in an image. The other thing to consider in terms of color is the use of contrast, which is the difference in shade of colors. Right? So the two colors that have the most contrast are white and black, right? White is the lightest you can get, black is the darkest you can get. Um, and we use contrast to help make things stand out, right? If the iPod in this picture had been black, like the silhouette of the woman, we would never see it. Right? We would see the cord, kind of a square shape in her hand, but we wouldn't see it. By using these contrasting colors, we get to see the entire product, even though the woman is in silhouette. Right? You see the whole thing, including the earbuds. The other kind of cool thing about an ad like this was by having the images in silhouette so you couldn't see the models' faces, it was really easy for viewers to imagine themselves part of the ad. Right? And if this girl wasn't similar to you and she wasn't rocking out to the music that you like, you could use one of the other models and picture yourself there too. So this ad has a really good example of contrast. The other thing that these iPod ads did really well was the use of these like brightly colored sort of sherbety backgrounds. This one is green, but you may remember some of the other ones are orange or pink or yellow. So they were really bright, kind of fun colors, and then they had these two contrasting colors right on top of it, black and white. So what we're going to do with this sample image is kind of put everything together that we've already been talking about in terms of layout and color. So in terms of layout, in the foreground we have the soda can and the text, right? That's in front. And then in the background they have other branches and sort of a green yellow color and then a suggestion of a branch way back here. But we understand that the things that we're really supposed to notice are the soda can and the text. In terms of rule of thirds, this is right along a line of thirds. Right? It goes right above the text, and it would go right through the logo of the 7-Up can. They're also the biggest things in the image. So the photographer who designed this image is using a lot of different layout elements to draw our attention to particular places. The other thing that's kind of cool is the angle, right? We're neither above nor below the soda can in this picture. It's right in front of us, which implies that it would be really easy for us to just reach out and take the can, right? I don't have to reach up really high to get it. I don't have to bend over low to get it. It's right there in front of my face. So it makes it very easy. In terms of our color scheme, you can see that there's a ton of green going on here, right? Lots and lots of green. In the background, in the foreground, in the color of the can. And so one thing that we really want to think about is what does green mean? And clearly 7-Up has always used green as their sort of their corporate color. But it also links in with this idea of now 100% natural and having the can, there we go, 100% natural, having the can hanging on a tree as if it were a lime or a lemon, right, as if it were one of the fruits. So we think of green as sort of the natural color, the environmentally friendly color. They are trying to get us to associate 7-Up with those ideas. There's also quite a bit of yellow in the ad, right, used for kind of a pop of color, and also because it's a lemon lime soda, they have the yellow there as well. And then in terms of contrast, we don't have the major contrast issues that we did in the iTunes ad, but there is some contrast in shade, right? You'll see that the lightest part of the background here is right behind the can, so it really does make the can pop out. Not as extreme as before, where it was, a white product against a black silhouette, but enough of a contrast to really make the ad stand out. So hopefully this helps you understand how to use those terms about layout and color a little bit better, and you should be able to integrate them into your next post and also into your essay. If you have any questions about these concepts, please feel free to email me. I'd be happy to work with you on them. Thanks. Have a good day.